Hello, everyone. My name is Coach Burba, and this is Downtown Magnets High School. We'll be interviewing three of our runners that have been with SRLA since the beginning of the year. So, Miguel, can I have you introduce yourself?
My name is Miguel. I joined SRLA this year with the recent pandemic and the situation that it brought me in. I've actually really enjoyed my time in it, and I've had many memories to take with me from this. See?
Hi, my name is Steed. I joined SRLA barely this year, and yeah, I've had some memorable moments, I guess.
Ashley, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ashley. I joined SRLA this year. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. So I'm just going to ask you guys a couple of questions. So let's just start off with a big question here. I mean, you guys have been doing this already for half the school year almost. Half the school year. How has SRLA changed you? So how has it changed you? Miguel, want to get us started?
I can say it's SRLA has given me a lot of content to provide in my interviews in class, actually, or like for internships and stuff like that. By being in SRLA, I've grown my determination to finish goals, and that's something that everyone looks for, any employer looks for, and so with SRLA, growing that kind of skill, growing my determination, my confidence in myself to reach my goals, I'm a better person than I was before I started SRLA.
Thank you, Miguel. I would agree. I had Miguel in class, and he's very goal-oriented. He comes in asking great questions, always task-oriented of what needs to be done, and I can see it in his running. Shahsid, can you? What about you? How has SRLA changed you?
So SRLA has definitely changed me in the fact that I can actually run like 12 miles because the beginning of the year I could not. Like I already know, like no, I couldn't do it. It's been like it's increased like my determination, right? Obviously. Um, I stick to a goal. Like if I don't give up like easily anymore, I guess. It does also increase my confidence because some of the activities I'm part of at school are definitely activities that you need more confidence in. And sometimes it's hard to have that confidence when you're around people who like have more experience than you. But like I don't know, like having SRLA and just having that fact like, oh yeah, I can run 10 miles, I can definitely do this is pretty beneficial.
So, Shahsid, you have no running experience at all before this. Is that what you're saying?
Um, Not really. Just saw like 2 months of SRLA, which isn't really much. So yeah.
Wow. And Shahsid was able to complete 18 miles over the weekend, uh, doing so at 10:30 per mile. I mean, every mile was like consistent. That's one of the things that we've been coaching you guys to do. Don't go out too quickly. And I remember looking through your splits. It was like 10:30, 10:30, 10:30, 10:30. So, more importantly, I think you guys have become you're coachable, right? You're good listeners and you apply, right? I can't say that about every person I met in life. So great work with that. Ashley, can you share for us how has SRLA changed you?
SRLA has definitely changed me a lot because it gave me a sense of purpose, especially during this pandemic. Every other extracurricular activity I have is kind of gone because of it. But SRLA definitely made me want to keep pushing forward, motivating me to do better. And it's helped me a lot as a person. It's helped me grow and understand my limits and what I can achieve.
Yeah, I love looking at your posts, Ashley, when you post like a 3-4 mile run and you have a picture of the sunset and just talking about how with running, clears your head. And I think that's what's important. So thanks for sharing, Ashley. So next question I have for you guys. Well, we'll talk about if maybe things are a little bit less heavy. Let's look at one run. What was your favorite run? So you guys have run a lot of miles. I want you to tell me your favorite run or a funny story that you had on a run and why that run stood out to you. So we'll bring it back to Miguel.
I checked I checked Strava before this. We've been using Strava to track our runs together online since we're not doing it in person. And actually, I found that my favorite run was my very first long run, the 10K. I don't really consider the 5K my first long run because I actually unintentionally did that before knowing that we were supposed to do that. But my 10K, I think that was around the Halloween time, so I was actually able to explore like I've I was able to explore my city a lot more through that because the distance I had to cover, I had never covered before on foot. And being personally like going through each neighborhood to finally get up to like around 6 miles, that was pretty crazy. And then that really set the standard for how I would be determined to finish each goal for the 10K, the 15K, and recently the 30K in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are getting a lot of miles in, and I think it's fun to be able to discover LA. You know, seeing new places, right? Shasid, how about yourself?
So my favorite run was like the 10-mile run we did right before we did the half marathon in January. So it was just I just liked that run because it was like chill. There was like a flow to it. It didn't really seem like I was like racing myself or anything. So yeah, it just was chill, and I kind of liked that.
Yeah, talking about the flow, right? Once you're kind of just ingrained in an activity, it goes by so quickly. Awesome. Ashley, how about you?
My favorite run definitely had to be the first time I ever ran like 8 miles. It was like a completely new experience because there was a sunset and I was listening to my favorite music, and in a way I almost felt free of like any issue or problem I had. It was just completely gone, and all that was on my mind was just the run. And by the end of it, I wasn't even tired, which was really weird. And I wanted to keep running more, but it kind of was nighttime already, so I had to go home. But everything went great.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. I mean, that's why I love running. It allows us to be free, right? When we're running, that's the only thing that we're worrying about is just hey at the task that we need to complete. So awesome, thank you, Ashley. So obviously, this year in SRLA has been unique. I mean, this year in general has been unique. How were you guys able to train during this pandemic? And do you have any interesting stories that you'd like to share about training in the pandemic or through the pandemic? Let's go, Miguel. Go for it.
Uh, SRLA, this is my first year. I've done long distance running as a sport. I have had other sports to commit to, but they've never really demanded as much time as this sport has. I'd say the biggest thing that I have to do in order to complete the training for this would be time management. I know that in this recent Sunday 30K, I had to ensure that I got all my homework done before, so that once I came back and with the goal finished, I knew I would be exhausted. So I just wanted to free up my day. Uh, and I also had to actually talk to my family because the 30K took me like around 3 hours, and being away from home for 3 hours is pretty concerning. So being able to communicate with my family is a really big thing for me.
Yeah, a lot of organization. Normally, we would be all together. These races would be organized. You'd have a set schedule, right? And you would have to plan around SRLA, right? Because there's no rescheduling races. But now you'd almost have to be an adult and set up your own time schedule. So it's awesome that you were able to do that during the pandemic. Shasid, how about yourself? How was it training during the pandemic? And if you have any interesting stories.
So training around the pandemic is pretty interesting because like you like how do I phrase this? So basically, you're like when you're running, you're also like have to be cautious. Like, oh, I'm not get that close to others people. There's other people running. I have to like stay 6 feet from them. Or like someone started coughing. Like one time, someone just started coughing in front of me, and I for some reason I had this unreasonable urge just to run away from them. So that was fun, and yeah, it's pretty weird. I'd say like the main reason I've gone through like the training is probably motivation. It's pretty hard. Like 3/4 the way through, you just want to give up most of the time. It's like the normal thing apparently. And I guess you just have to keep yourself pushing through it. Like you got this. You have to put yourself at the finish line. And yeah.
Mhm. So Shahid, actually, there was some time where you weren't able to run outside, right? What did you do just to stay consistent with your training? Because I mean, you're in phenomenal shape right now. You had the best run, like your best run last Sunday, and there was a period in December when COVID rates were very very high, and you couldn't get out. So what were some of those things that you did?
So I actually asked you like what should I do, and then like you said to do home workouts. So I went with that, but like after like a couple of weeks, I just kind of felt like bad. I felt guilty, I'm not getting the runs in. I felt like it's my fault. It's like I felt really guilty, and so I made the executive decision to run 3 miles in place for like 30 minutes, and I've never been bolder in my life. Let's be honest, and yeah.
That's amazing. And that was before I would say SRLA decided that we should craft some, home workouts. And that just when you told me I ran in place for 30 minutes, I was like, wow, like that's a go getter, and I think it speaks volumes about this program because all three of you, you found ways to make this happen. I know Miguel, I think you hurt your leg, right? So you just started biking, right? And we got in this whole conversation mathematically on what does
How to convert biking miles and biking time into running effort and time. Yeah.
and that's amazing. This is conversations with high school kids, right? Where a lot of high school kids would look at this and make excuses. I can't do it anymore because it's a pandemic. But no, I mean, all three of you have found ways to make things happen. And I'm amazed by that. As an adult, I'm motivated by that, right? There are days I don't want to go out and run, and I saw, your runs, the 30K completed, whenever Ashley posts something and I'm stressed and Ashley will post, hey, I felt free when I run, that makes me less stressed about the things that I have to do. So keep up the great work with that. Ashley, how about yourself? What were some ways that you were able to get through this pandemic training?
A couple ways was whenever I went to go running, I would see other kids running as well. And before I joined the SRLA, there's this guy I noticed who would run like 6 laps around. And I used to think that was so cool. And I was only able to do 2 at the time, which was a mile, because every lap was 0.5. And when I joined the SRLA, I was like, one of my first goals was to run as much as that guy could. Other ways was just looking at the posts from other teammates. Shahid, I would see her posts, and in the beginning, I kind of had like a similar pace, and I wanted to kind of reach and match her pace a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing is even though we're all apart, we're still in this together, right? When we're monitoring each other's runs, right? And Ashley, I think that's the next thing I actually wanted to ask is name one teammate that has impressed you or has motivated you to throughout this time, right? Miguel, go for it.
I think a good example would be my friend Tyler. He has been in SRLA, I think, for 3 years, or way more than I have. He's had like SRLA merch for years. Like he's always worn it every time I see him. And he motivated me by setting the bar high. I know that there was a couple of weeks where, since we were constricted on time due to school, I had asked him what was his fastest mile, like 1 mile time. And once we compared and I saw that there was a drastic difference between us, for a couple of weeks, actually, I started training, not really for the distance run, but more specifically that short sprint. And although I was not able to beat him, he did motivate me to better myself, to get, I think, near a minute faster than my previously fastest 1 mile run. So that's pretty cool.
And I want to remind you guys are the ones that are setting the standard, I'm not setting any standard whatsoever. The only standard I'm setting is, hey, get out there, your 3 weekday runs, and let's get that long run in. I've given you guys a schedule, but now all of a sudden it's your motivation that's gone on and said, hey, I want to go ahead and match Tyler. I want to match the She's run. And that's amazing. I mean, you guys hold yourself to this high standard, right? Imagine if everyone in society held themselves to a high standard, where we would be. So a lot of respect for that. Shasid, what about you? Any teammates that have inspired you throughout this time?
So like the teammates that inspired me throughout this time are like Matthew and Esmeralda, because like I used to usually get my runs in like in the afternoon and just like avoid waking up early as much as possible. But like when I'd see them like get their runs in like 6:30 or like 6:40 something, that just motivated me to just get up and like just go and like do the runs early, which is pretty amazing. Like you never feel more accomplished like when you start your day knowing you got 3 miles in or 4 miles in. So yeah.
And Shasid, you're a freshman, correct?
Yes, I am a freshman.
So, I mean, looking at this, I can't imagine a freshman wanting to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get these runs in. That's one of the things that we've talked about since the beginning is just feeling good, getting that dopamine rush early in the morning, so you no longer have to worry about it. And I'm inspired. I've tried to get up at 6 o'clock, 6:30, and one of the things I've noticed is my goal was to actually get up earlier than Matthew in order to get those runs in. And I remember for a while it was just Matthew and I that were getting those runs in between 6 o'clock to 7:30. Then all of a sudden now there's a lot of you are. Shasid, you started at 7. Now I notice that you're getting these runs in earlier and earlier at 6:30 because as the sun comes up earlier, I notice that you're getting up earlier. So I give you a lot of kudos, a lot of respect for getting those runs in that early, right? And Ashley, you said Shasid. Was there anyone else that you wanted to add that's really inspired you during this time?
It was both Shasid and Miguel. Like at first, I did kind of want to try to reach Miguel's pace, but I noticed that it started like he started like improving a lot more, and he started going in the like 6-minute pace, like 7-minute pace, and at some point I do hope to reach that point, but I know I need to improve a lot as well. So.
Hey, well, the great thing is that's the goal of SRLA is improvement. It's never where you start, it's where you finish. And what I'm very, very thankful for is that you three, she's a freshman, Miguel is a junior, Ashley's a junior, that, hey, we have next year, that once the season concludes, we still got the culminating event. But, hopefully, knock on wood, that this next season is going to look a lot different from this season. And the fact that we could do this much being virtual, imagine how much more we could do when we do actually end up meeting together. So, hey, thank you guys for completing this interview. You guys have inspired me. You've made this school year a lot more engaging than I thought it would be. I remember last year once, it's been a year anniversary since the pandemic hit, and once track was canceled, the rest of the year, all it was academics, and it just wasn't fun. There was nothing to look forward to. But now that we have this, hey, this is amazing. March 21st is our culminating event, but that doesn't mean it's over. The journey continues. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you doing this interview.